Hello guys, welcome back to Disability Square. My name is Yusuf Mustafa Karkanna and I'm a first year PhD student and I'm physically disabled and I have sickle cell disease. My research is on the lives of people with physical disability. Mwah. I don't know why I did that. So what I want to talk about today is I want to talk about sickle cell disease and particularly the inheritance part of it because it got me thinking that I have a lot of things to consider when if I decided to get into a relationship or along the way or at the end of my PhD or somewhere in between. Well, I don't I don't even know. Okay, let's just say if I am considering getting into a relationship or starting a family in the future. So the thing is, there are a lot of issues when it comes to sickle cell disease and a lot of things to consider when it comes to sickle cell disease. So one of those things that I will be considering personally is in terms of sickle cell trait or the inheritance of sickle cell disease. So in order for me, so that you guys can have a better understanding on what I'm talking about, I'm going to show you here right now. So the overview of sickle cell trait, or from the diagram I'm showing you right now, is a AA in combination with AS. So AA is a healthy individual, while AS is someone who is a carrier of the gene of sickle cell disease. So a carrier doesn't have the disease, but but can pass it on to their children and so forth. So with the combination of AA and AS, there is a 50% chance of having a child who is a carrier of the disease and a 50% chance of having a child who doesn't have the disease and who doesn't have sickle cell disease. So in other words, there is a 50% chance of having a healthy child. And if it is 1 out of 4 children, there is a 50% chance of 2 will be healthy individuals, while 2 children will be carriers of the disease. So the other aspect is, so that's why, so this combination is a good combination, and it is what doctors and health professionals or skill cell experts are recommending, that when someone is a carrier of the disease should marry someone who is not a carrier of the disease and someone who is healthy, who is AA, whose gene is AA. So in that way, they don't have a chance in terms of having a child with the disease, which is a good thing. However, when when it comes to when it comes to sickle cell carrier and someone with sickle cell carrier, there is a 50% chance of having a child who is a carrier of the disease and a 25% chance of having a child who is healthy and a 25% chance of having a child who has the disease. So this combination is kind of in the gray area, since there is one child will be an SS, which means the child will have sickle cell disease. But however, there is also about 70% or 75% chance of having children without sickle cell disease but may have the gene or the thread of the disease. So in this aspect, it's kind of on a blurry side. Some experts recommend it and some experts don't recommend it. To me, I think it's a chance that it's okay for people to consider if they love each other. And what I'm going to say is, what do you think about this combination? Because it is a bit in the gray aspect of it. Do you think you can marry someone who is AS? And if you are AS, do you think that chance of having that 25 chance is worth considering, or it worth taking into consideration when it comes to starting a family? with someone who is AS as you? And or is it not something to consider? Anything? Tell me your thought in the comment section. So the other aspect of things is having a sickle cell carrier and someone who has the sickle cell disease. So this is a little bit grayish because there is a 50% chance of having a child with a carrier of the disease and a 50% chance of having a child who has the disease. So these images I am showing you, or this gene tree I'm showing you, is based on chances of having poor child. If to say we are considering the probability of having poor child, so two, there is a high probability they will have the carrier of the disease, and two, they will have the disease. So this is somewhat not considered. A lot of health professionals and doctors don't consider AS and SS to in combination. That's why I put it in red. So I don't know what you think. So do you think this probability, this chance of having two child with carriers of the disease and a probability of having two children with sickle cell disease is a chance to take or not? Any and all thought, you can put it in the comment section. So the other one is two people with sickle cell disease, which is 100% chance of having the child with the disease in the end of the day. So with this, it's not recommended, and I will not recommend it. So this is where I fall in. I am an SS. So the probability of me having a getting someone who is AA or who is AS is very low, because in Africa or in sub-Saharan Africa, the prevalence of sickle cell disease is very high, and the probability of having or getting someone who is an AA that you kind of like all of will be, well, I cannot say near to impossible, but it is going to be a hard thing. And but luckily a lot of people are getting it. But to me personally, okay, I will tell you, I don't want to spoil it so far since I haven't finished showing you the possible combination. So there are some probability. When we are talking about probability, there are some combination that I think we should consider, because all this sickle cell gene is based on probability. So if to say we are going to consider probability as a scientist and as a health practitioner, we should also talk about the other aspect of things. For instance, let's say an AA get married to someone who is an AS. So they may have, there is a high, or there is a probability that they will have, all their children will be healthy, will have an AA gene. And there is going to be a probability of having a child with all their children being carriers of the disease. So this is another thing to consider too, because it's not like 100% you will have a child who is a carrier of the disease, and you will have another child who is a healthy person or with the AA gene. So this everything is under probability. So I was thinking that some people with sickle cell, who are sickle cell carriers, for instance, they can end up having all carriers, or they can end up having all people with who are not, don't have the disease and don't carry the gene of the disease, which is a good thing. And there is another probability of having all their children having the disease, even though they are AS and AS. So this probability thing is that there are a lot of moving parts that people need to consider, and a lot of health expert and health consultant don't tell people with sickle cell disease or couples who goes to counseling in terms of what they should do when they are AS and AS, or AA and SS. Well, AA and SS is a good combination. So but they don't tell them all this probability of having a child who will be healthy or who will have a agent throughout. They will have their children with a agent throughout, or with SS gene, or with AS gene. So the other combination that I am also considering is, if to say a carrier and someone with sickle cell disease, there is a probability of them having a child, or their children having, all their children having an AS which is carrier of the disease, but they don't have the disease and they won't experience the condition. And there is a probability of having all their children having the sickle cell trait at the end of the day, or having the sickle cell disease as shown in this diagram. So there are a lot of things that has been crossing my mind, that how, what is my probability when it comes to this thing? Because SS and SS, there is that one is constant, is 100% chance of having someone who has the sickle cell disease, and they will end up suffering from the disease like I am. So when it comes to all this stuff, I was considering, okay, since everything is under probability, you may be lucky to marry someone, for example, like I marry someone who is AS and end up having all my children having AS, or all my children having SS, which is going to be pretty bad. But it's another combination, it's another probability, or marrying someone who is AA and having all our children being AS. Well, the probability of having our children to be SS, so the AS, is very high. So scenarios or moving probability has been crossing my mind, that okay, if these probabilities are to happen, what are the chances, and why shouldn't I take the risk? If I, let's say I find someone who is AS and I love that person, why can't I just consider take the chance? Because love over everything. If my children end up having the disease, it's going to be pretty bad, and it will take a lot of energy and this thing taking care of the children. But if there is love, it's something to consider, and it's something to think about. So tell me in the comment, what do you think about all these things that I just said? And do you think the probability aspect of the sickle cell inheritance should be considered, or do you think people who are SS or AS should not marry someone who is SS or who is AS like them? So let me know in the comment section, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you for your time. Please, if you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and share it with someone who can get a giggle out of it, or who may be able to back me up on this one, because this still has been crossing my mind, that okay, why can't I consider all these things? There are a lot of things to consider, because one thing is, love is over everything.